Hello everyone, the purpose of this short video is to go over a basic Excel add-in called Solver. Just some of the real basics about really a very powerful function, a powerful add-in that should be part of your basic Excel but may not be activated for you. All right? If it's activated, for me, I'm in Excel 2010. I'm going to see the Solver item if I'm in the data ribbon. So if I'm in Review, I don't see the Solver item, but if I go into my data ribbon, I'm going to see my Solver. If you don't see Solver in there, what you need to do is you need to go into File, Options, and you're going to click in Add-ins. You're going to make sure that down the bottom where it says Manage, that you're managing Excel add-ins. And you're going to see one called Solver Add-in. You're going to click that, and you're going to go ahead and hit OK. That should activate Solver for you, and you should see it in your data ribbon. All right. So now I'm going to go over kind of a basic spreadsheet that I'm using that I've set up for to demonstrate how you can use some of the basic functions for Solver. So what I've done is I've given you a selling price of an item of $5, a variable cost of $3 per unit, a total fixed cost of $2,000, that might be per month or per year, and I calculated a contribution margin. The contribution margin is the difference between the selling price and the variable cost per unit, and that comes out to be $2. What that means is for every unit that I sell, the $2 becomes available to pay off the fixed cost, and once I've reached the break-even point, it will generate a profit of $2 per unit. All right. So next thing I want to do is I want to set up a formula for my objective function, and this is what Excel needs to have. It needs to have a formula in the objective function, and my formula here is for my profit, and the profit's going to be equal to the number of units sold, which is what I'm asking Excel to solve for, times the contribution margin per unit, and then I'm going to subtract out my total fixed costs, and that's going to give me my profit. In this case here, since my units sold start at 0, I have a profit of negative $2,000. What I want to do is I want Excel to determine for me how many units I need to sell in order to break even. All right, so I'm going to click on my Solver, and I am going to set my objective function. The objective function is where I'm going to have the formula for Excel to determine whether it's going to be maximized, minimized, or set for specific value. So in this case here, my objective function is my profit, because I want my profit to equal to have a specific value of 0. Now I could maximize that profit or minimize that profit if I want to. In my situation, since I don't have any constraints, if I try to maximize or minimize the profit, it's going to basically tell me it can't do it. All right? What cells can Excel change? This is where Excel is going to give me my output. Excel for me is going to change the number of units that I'm selling. All right? That's going to be my output, my desired output. Right now I'm going to have no constraints. I should have this set at GRG nonlinear. You should get the same answer whether you do simplex, LP, or evolutionary, but GRG nonlinear is the one we use most often. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit solve, and Excel found an answer for me, and it needs to sell 1,000 units basically in order to have a profit of $0. All right, so I'm going to leave that as okay. Now I just want to show you something. If I go ahead and hit to change to my variable cost to $2.75, what it did is it changed the profit, but it based the profit on the number of units sold, which is $1,000, and it's not giving me the break-even. If I wanted to calculate a new break-even based upon a revised variable cost per unit, I need to go in and launch the Solver again and go ahead and hit solve. And now it found an answer, and it says the answer is 889 units, 888.88 units, but since I can't sell a part of a unit, I need to sell 889 units, right? So I could go ahead and hit OK. Now, I'm just going to show you real quickly what you can do if you wanted to have, for example, a specific constraint. So I'm going to back over and back in Solver, and I'm going to say, The minimum number of units that I can sell is 1,000 units per month or per period, and I want to know what's the amount of units to break even for me. So I'm going to add in a constraint. So I'm going to go ahead and hit where it says constraints. I'm going to go ahead and hit add, and I'm going to hit the cell reference where that constraint is going to be. So in this case here, I want to say a minimum of 1,000 units. So I clicked on the number of units sold, and I said that has to be greater than or equal to, right? And I'm going to type in 1,000, and I'm going to head and hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and hit solve now. Now in this case here, it says Excel couldn't find a solution because the solution, I need to sell a minimum of 1,000 units, but it's only 889 units in order for it to break even. So Excel couldn't find a solution, right? So that's a problem. Now, if I go in and I change my constraint, so I'm going to go back into Solver, and let's just say now I'm going to change that constraint now and say Excel has to sell more than 500 units in order for it to break even. It's a minimum of 500. And I go ahead and hit OK. And now I hit solve, and it brings me back and it says, oh, my answer was good. My 889 units still works for me. All right. So hopefully that was somewhat helpful for you. What I want to do also is I want to show you where you're going to see some of these, for example, in some of your spreadsheets. So I have another spreadsheet opened up. Let's close out of this, and I'm going to go to my spreadsheets, and let's see, I open up. I want to open up my recent one. Let me see, cancel out of this. So I'm going to go to File, Recent, and I'm going to go to you'll find this spreadsheet here under the Chapter 11 unit, and I'm going to go to example number 3. And example number 3 actually uses the Solver add-in, right? So now I'm not going to see that it uses the Solver add-in. However, what I'm going to do is if it does use the Solver add-in, it's generally going to tell me this underneath the notes that it uses the Solver add-in. I'm going to go in and hit Solver, and it tells me active document is not a worksheet, is protected, or is in the shared mode. Okay, so I know it's a worksheet, so that's not a problem. It's not in the shared mode, so it must mean that this worksheet is protected. So if I go ahead and hit Review, and now hit Unprotect Worksheet, and then go back to my data ribbon and hit Solver. Solver is now available, and this is telling me what the Solver function is actually doing in that worksheet. All right, so hopefully this was helpful to you. Again, Solver is a really powerful tool that you can use for a lot of things. I also have a specific website here that I opened up, and it will give you some pretty good information about using the Solver tool. So I would suggest if you want to read up a little bit more about it, I will add this worksheet label websheet address into the Screenomatic session tab for you, and you'll be able to read a little bit more. It will tell you, for example, about how you use the Solver tool, and a little bit about, for example, when you use GRG nonlinear versus simplex LP versus evolutionary. All right. Again, I hope this was helpful to you, and we'll have some more videos coming up in the near future.